for the Seahawks, now moving on to Darnold, to me, again, it was a 3-year, $110 million, $55 million guaranteed, probably a little bit more than they were willing to give Geno. Just kind of the rumor mill of everything. It seemed like there was kind of like a $5 to $10 million difference between Geno and what the Seahawks wanted to give him. Maybe it was one of those Seahawks were like, well, sorry. Once that move happened, it was like, all right, Darnold's going to the Seahawks because you don't trade away your quarterback unless you have a plan.
Yeah.
And
yes,
Seahawks don't have a top 5 pick, So, all right. So, okay, I'm doing the math there. So I was willing to bet a lot that that Darnold was going to the Seahawks. You got Clint Kubiak there. So you have the connection there. Darnold and Kubiak were in San Francisco together. Also, they said they're getting younger. I think that was some aspect of it. This is a guy that maybe we can tap into more as he enters the prime of his career. In theory, this is all theory. This is just the line of thinking. Darnold, to me, I think is I liked a lot of what happened last year. And I know he tailed off in the last couple of weeks of the season, which a lot of people are saying that is the real Darnold. It's somewhere in the middle. I thought a lot of the Vikings offensive line was because of that, because of those sacks that he took, which is also gets into where we're at in Seattle, is that their offensive line is a little shaky. So that scares me a little bit. But I think what Seahawks are trying to do is truly make a Shanahan Kubiak offense, which is we're going to help the offensive line out with our system, more zone runs, more bootlegs, more play action stuff. Darnold's very good off play action and on the move. And he's a good athlete, can do all those things, quote unquote, knows the system, which I hate saying that, but whatever. That's what they're going to say.
I'm so over like, well, he knows the language.
So lazy, man.
Okay. Yeah, he can speak the language, but like, can we drop him in the foreign country and like and he can live a life, he can thrive, or can he just merely survive? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's all these things. But this is the argument I think the Seahawks are making, is that we're going to make our run game better. They're probably going to add to their offensive line some way, shape, or form. Our offensive system is going to be more too tight end heavy. And this is why the DK Metcalf trade probably happened as well. I think DK Metcalf, I know we're talking about Darnold, but I also want to say, I think there's a big disconnect between how Metcalf is viewed in the league and how the public views him, even as a prospect. And I think just even our conversation, we kind of hit on that a little bit. I think that sloppiness I bring up, I think Seahawks coaches and staff get frustrated with that. And they just go, all right, we're going to get a bunch of guys we can rely on. Yeah, they might not be as talented, but we want to have more reliable players. That's a big thing in the NFL, is having reliable players. It's a sliding scale. You have to be an absolute freak, top 5 guy, and we'll let you we'll let you get away with some stuff. Better bees, as we call them on defense, like you better be right. But I think that's why they want to try to maybe revamp this team to get guys that are more trustworthy. Whether, I don't know if that's talking about Geno, just talking about DK. But with Darnold, I think that same argument. It's like, hey, this is what we want to instill with this team. This is what we want to go behind. This is the quote unquote system that we want to be in. And I think this is the offensive flow and philosophy we want to be in. And Darnold's kind of like our version of that. Darnold got benefited from Justin Jefferson last year, absolutely, and benefited from that offensive system. I don't think the drop-off is going to be, oh my God, dramatic, this is crazy, he's going into the worst ecosystem ever, holy crap. Right. I think it's more of an average-ish, above average-ish ecosystem. They just have to shore up the pressure and make sure that they don't expect to put 40 pass plays on Darnold. They just have to be realistic with it. I think they will be, but you have to be realistic. But Darnold gives you the high-end plays that I actually think that Geno can. Darnold's a good athlete, can run around a little bit. He takes a lot of sacks, and that's one negative thing. But I think this run game is going to be a little better than the Vikings had because of just, I think, the buy-in and what the Seahawks are trying to do. So I understand what they're trying to do here. I know no one's really happy, I think, in Seattle about this, but I think this is not as bad as maybe some people are making it out to be. I actually think it's going to be interesting, is what I'm going to leave it at.
Yeah, I was going to give it kind of the thumb in the middle, like not an outright thumbs down here, but like a thumb in the middle here, because I can kind of get what they're seeing here. And yeah, I mean, right. It is funny, the Sam Darnold oligarchs and the Geno Smith zealots, there's kind of like a circle there, like in terms of the Venn diagram. Like there is a lot of you guys are the same people.
I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know. There's a few of us. It's like
I'm being
Mina, maybe. Mina's confused right now.
Well, yeah. Look, if I was a fan of the Seahawks, I would probably hate this. I actually just hopped on the Athletic live stream right after, right as Mina was leaving, and Robert pulls me on after him and Derek and Mina are talking about the Geno Smith thing, and I was like, and he asked me my thoughts. I'm so emotionally not involved in this that I don't even want to comment on it in front of you three, because you two are Geno honks and Mina's a Seahawks fan, and I couldn't give a one way or another. It doesn't affect my life. So I'm gonna leave that conversation to you guys who actually have a stake in this, because I will say one thing that we slam on teams all the time for is just get off the hamster wheel of mediocrity. Think about the Steelers, who we rip on the Steelers all the time about this. You're just good enough to never get a top 5 pick, whatever.
Yep.
You never just blow it up. And I think this is obviously not blowing it up. It's not tanking. It's just changing. I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I think the Seahawks, right or wrong, I think their justification of this was, we know what this era of football looks like. We know what the Geno era gets us. We know what the DK Metcalf era gets us. So let's try something else and see if that works. And I think that's kind of where they're at right now. And I can understand not wanting to pay Metcalf that money. I can understand, Geno apparently wants, $40 to $45 million a year. And, Sam is getting the kind of a markup on the Baker Mayfield deal, which, I think it's totally that's where we expected Sam to land. So I think it's totally fine. We obviously, nobody in the world is going to compare the Vikings and the Seahawks environmentally, but the system overlaps good. That's nice. Again, he knows the language, all that cliche stuff we talked about. Jackson Smith-Njigba, was awesome against man covers last year. He's a great player. I think his skill set overlaps well with Sam Darnold, who has the devil may care attitude to rip the intermediate area and sometimes for better or worse, where JSN really dominated last year and dominated as a prospect. That's his game. He's not a little bunny hop receiver. He's a true intermediate maven. So I think him and Sam work well together. I think on these play action concepts, again, that's going to work really well between these two players. He has an easy layup receiver. Just tell me who's playing center guard, and tell me who's the second, maybe third pass catcher in this rotation here.